What's going on, everyone? So, Neve Campbell is moving to the MCU. She's going to be playing Polaris, who is Magneto's daughter, Scarlet Witch's sister in the comics. But nonetheless, did a whole video on that announcement, on that news. Go check that out after this video, of course, because in particular, what I want to talk about with this is obviously Scream and the future of her and the Scream franchise, because I do have some concerns now with her and just the longevity of her with Scream. Now, first off, I want to start by saying I'm very happy for her. I think this is great. I think this is a huge opportunity. I think, you never know where this road will lead her as far as MCU, series and shows and films and all these things that she could potentially be a part of. So this is great for her career, and just, a great opportunity. Can't turn down. The MCU that's it. She made it, right? Look, Ma, I made it. So I do want to start by that. But as somebody that is a big Scream fan, as somebody that, is excited for the upcoming Scream 7, on top of that, you have Scream 8 that is in the works. Sydney is supposed to be a big part of Scream 8. Now, Scream 7's already filmed, signed, sealed, delivered, so we're good in that regard. But also, how does Scream 7 end? Does it end in a cliffhanger? If it does, well, then it might make things kind of difficult, right? And, time is probably of the essence a little bit if that's the case, right? Like, there's just a lot of questions in that regard. Now, also, as far as like Neve being in the MCU and stuff, we don't have details, at least at the time of recording this video, on, the role she plays, how significant is it, right? Like, does this lead into anything else, right? Because for all we know, it could be something where she's just like in a battle in the background or something and ends up dying, and it's like 2 days of filming and that's it, right? Like, we don't know what type of role there is. But if she ends up playing any type of significance, and, this is something that takes a while, it could kind of throw a little bit of a wrench into, the potential for Scream 8 or, beyond. Right? What if she does get picked up? What if, they do have her be a regular in a series, or, they make a Polaris series, or, they make a Magneto series, or, whatever, right? Like, what if they do something to where, Neve Campbell now is tied up in MCU work, right? Like, again, you can't turn that down, right? You can't say no, like, oh, sorry, I'm going to go. Like, again, the money that she's probably getting paid, the opportunity that this brings, like, this is huge. And so I don't see her being like, so one of the things that I have talked about, though, very heavily is that I think regardless, even if she wasn't going to be in an MCU movie or anything like that, I think regardless, I think you're going to see a natural transition from Sydney to her daughter, Tatum. I've talked about that very heavily, that I think eventually, maybe it's Scream 8, maybe it's Scream 9, where you're going to see Neve and Sydney kind of fade more and more into the background, and Tatum kind of be more and more in the forefront as they kind of transition to her being like the face of Scream, right? Her being the face of the franchise. And I do think that that's something that has a lot of potential that could very well happen. But, I also, look at it and go, this might expedite the process, right? Where I thought, Scream 7 was going to be a Sydney-focused film, kind of lay the foundation, lay the framework and whatnot, and then you transition into, Scream 8, where Tatum is a little more in the forefront, and then Scream 9 and so on and so forth, right? And then maybe Scream 9, she finally fully embraces. It's kind of like, Halloween, right? Where you had, Laurie forefront, center, she was the main focus. And then you saw the transition slowly start to take place, right? Laurie starts to fade more and more into the background to where Halloween Inn, she essentially is just kind of like a supporting character at that point, to where, Allison moves into the forefront and now becomes the main face. I could see something like that with Neve and the upcoming Scream movies, right? Like I said, obviously Scream 7 is already done. It really boils down, to Scream 8 and kind of how do they approach that, and do they? Because if, like, also, like, what if Scream 7 again ends on a cliffhanger, right? Or there's some significant information that, it's like, okay, well, we can't just, like, we have to have Sydney in this movie. We can't run the risk of her not being in this movie. Or we can't run the risk of her, not being the main focus, or, whatever, right? Because it's like, hey, we kind of built and set up this story in Scream 7 that was supposed to bleed in and trickle in to Scream 8 and kind of, continue to establish Sidney Prescott and, Tatum and whoever else survives even more. And it's like, now this just throws a big wrench into everything. Right now, this just puts us in a really bad spot where we have to kind of try, you know what I mean? Like, there is a path here where I think that this could kind of complicate things. Again, I'm very excited for her, and I'm looking forward to her playing that role and the opportunity that, like I said, this is going to bring her. But as far as like the Scream franchise goes, I do have some concerns, right? Like, what does this mean? What does this mean for the future of the Scream franchise? Is this something that is just pretty straightforward? And it's like, hey, she's going to be able to do both because, the MCU thing is only like 3 days of shooting or, whatever, a week or whatever. And so nothing's going to change and all is right in the world, right? That's a real possibility. That's something that could definitely be an outcome. That's the route that she could end up taking, right? Like, so again, I don't want to instill this like, oh no, Chicken Little, the sky is falling with Neve Campbell and, her and Sidney Prescott and stuff. But I definitely think it's something that we're going to need to kind of keep an eye on as we progress going forward, right? Because again, if she, they end up doing some type of Magneto movie or, end up, her character becomes a hit, right? And you never know which character, like you see them all the time, like just randomly, like, oh, this character just kind of became the standout. Right now, they're going to do a series and they're going to do a show, or they're going to do this and they're going to do that, right? Like, so I look at this with Neve Campbell and I'm like, this is a great opportunity, but, what does this mean for the future of Scream? What does this mean for the franchise itself? Does this put the franchise in a tough spot? But again, we'll see. We'll see how they go about it. We'll see what the approach is. We'll see, again, what type of role Neve is going to have in the upcoming Scream or, X-Men movie and stuff. Like, because it could be something where she just get a background character or, a little fight scene or whatever, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be like a main fixture or main focus or anything. But we'll see. Time will tell. Either way, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, what do you make of Neve Campbell joining the MCU? Are you excited for her? Are you looking forward to it? Or is it something that you're going to watch for sure? Do you have concerns as well about kind of how this is going to play out in the, Scream universe, Scream world? How you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.